Queers. What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora? Today, Kaitlynn and I are doing a very special in-person episode where we are physically in the same room, which is pretty fun.
Yes.
And today we'll be talking about a topic we want to talk about for quite some time now, which is the sex lives of college girls, which is one of our favorite shows.
Yes. Yeah. We're very glad we're finally covering it. We've been waiting to cover this show for a year now.
Yeah, for quite some time. So today we're going to cover season 1. So this is not going to be like some of our other content where we go scene by scene and break down the whole show. We're just going to do more of an overview of the stuff that we liked and all the queer fun and things like that. Since, season 3 is coming out pretty soon. So we'll be going through season 1 today, and then we'll have another episode covering season 2, and then the brand new season when that comes out.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched the show, we are going to have spoilers in it, obviously, which is how you talk about this. So if you want to stick around for a spoiler-free review at the beginning, that's cool. We'll determine where to watch it, and we're going to get through all the fun stuff today. Woo!
All right. So before we begin, we have a huge request to ask of you. So we need your help to keep making queer content. Please share this video or podcast audio version with 3 friends who you think would enjoy it. Just do it. It'll help us. It'll help them.
It'll help you.
Yeah, it's just, why wouldn't you do it at this point? Okay, so after that, come join us on Patreon, where you can get exclusive queer content, early access to our videos, and all of our full reaction videos that we do. When we do reaction videos, the highlights are only on YouTube, and you can see the whole thing. We have some great stuff over there.
We do.
If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below your thoughts about either this episode, the show in general. We want to know. If you're listening to this episode, please leave a review or rating, whatever is possible on the platform that you are listening on, and also download the episode to help the statistics or whatever it is reach more people, because we want to spread the joy of queer content. If you want to interact with us, come join our Discord, where we love having conversations with you all. And you can also find our merch on biggayenergypod.com. It's a great time. Lastly, stay connected with us on social media. Follow @BigGayEnergyPod on all platforms. We have too many.
We do, and we love talking to you guys. Thank you, Kaitlynn. So today, let's get into our topic, which is the Sex Lives of College Girls Season 1. Where can you watch this? HBO Max. Head on over there. Hopefully you're not boycotting it. But if you are, that's fine too. They've canceled some fun stuff over there. But not this. Not yet.
No. We'll get into it. Anyway.
All right.
So what is this show about? If you don't know, this show, according to the official description, is 4 18-year-old freshman roommates at Essex College in Vermont. A bundle of contradictions and hormones, these sexually active college girls are equal parts lovable and infuriating. Emphasis on infuriating.
I don't know. I think they're lovable, to be honest.
They are lovable, but
they're teenagers.
Yeah.
So what do you expect? Although they act like they're 26, but okay. All right. So that's what the internet says the show is about. So how would you describe the show without spoiling anything? What's your spoiler-free review?
4 girls try to figure themselves out in the messiest way possible.
Honestly, that's really good. I don't know if I could top that. Be like, 3 wild straight girls and a closeted lesbian become friends at a preppy AF school.
That's also great.
That's all you gotta know. All right. So, let's see. Are we hydrating now?
Yes.
I think we're supposed to. Okay. Wrapping up the spoiler-free section. Okay, so we're gonna rate the entire season on our Lesbian Jesus hydration scale. So, which is a hydration scale we came up with to determine how valuable a piece of queer media it is. And we hydrate because queer media, like water, is essential for life. So,
my water's under the couch.
I'm sorry. So how much could you hydrate for season 1 of the Sex Lives of College Girls?
8.5, 9.
All the water that's available at Sips, the coffee shop.
Is there water available at Sips?
There is.
All right. All the water is used to make the coffee.
All the water available at Sips the Coffee
Available.
Shop.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into it. So let's start with the gay stuff. Shall we? Let's get right into it.
I think the most important thing to start with is that all of them are at least a little bit queer. I swear they are. Okay. Or at least that should be. The first time I watched this, and this is usually a thing whenever someone tells me watch this queer show, I'm just like, all right, which one of you is going to be queer? Who is it? And I'm pretty sure I went through every single person in the first episode. And I actually went back into our messages because Theora is the one who told me to watch this. And I just wanted to bring up this conversation we had. So on June 6th, 2023,
deep dive.
Let's just say I cheated and looked up who was gay in the show. But I did have theories in the beginning. I just cheated before because you don't know until the very end of episode 1. So our conversation went like this. I said, it is very stereotypical for who ends up being gay. And Theora says it is. I say, which is why I called it from the beginning. And Theora said, her storyline is a classic. My turn. The only time I wasn't oblivious. And then this is Theora. Haha, yay, your gaydar is working. Next message. A pride miracle.
It was June.
Also, I want to note that in June 2023, Bella was Theora's favorite. Has this changed?
I think Bella's the funniest.
She is.
So in a comedy, yeah, that's my favorite. But no, my favorite's Midori. Alicia's my favorite character.
That is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, Midori is pretty awesome. Oh, I'm really glad this show introduced me to Renee Rapp and Midori Francis.
Yeah.
And it was very much needed.
Agreed. That was my biggest takeaway from the show. But Bella is really funny, though.
Yeah, she
because she's supposed to be. She's the comedy one.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really bad if she wasn't funny.
I agree.
So the first thing I wrote is just, I love how the very first meeting, the one guy just immediately is like, all right, I told myself I'd do this as soon as I get here. I'm gay.
Oh, when they're at the house, like with the RA, and he's just like, confession time.
Yeah. And then the other guy's like, oh yeah, me too, but I'm out.
He's like been out since he was 16. Yeah. But no, that's so true. Some people wait until they're out of their small towns and they're just like, fuck it. Like, this is my chance to be me. Like, I get that. I came out when I was a senior in high school for that very reason. I'm like, I'm leaving and I will never see you people again. So even if this goes poorly, I will never see you again because I'm going to college where I can just be me and it's fine. People don't really know me. It's like reinvention of yourself, which is what some of the characters do, which is a very like, that's the time to do it. That's kind of what that's about. A lot of people, including the main cast, it's like their first time being away from home and being unsupervised. And some people go wild like Bella, and then others like, ease into it a little bit differently. So,
I wish I went to college out. I just didn't know yet. I mean, really, I knew, but like
also valid.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of gays, just very quickly, I needed to touch upon Whitney's soccer friend, Willow. Like, her introduction as being queer was really funny. First of all, she opens her locker and there's just like this pride sticker in her locker, and like Whitney's like, oh, that's cool, and she's like, yeah, I found it at a gas station. I don't know what it means.
I love it so much.
It's just like a rainbow, and Whitney's like, it's for like pride. She's like, I know. And I love her line explaining how gay she is, where she says, I'm the LeBron James of being attracted to women, which is such a good line. I just love that so much.
She has, I mean, everyone in the show has great line delivery.
Correct. Yeah, great line
The
delivery.
side characters are they really help make the show as well.
Of course. Yeah, like the writing on the show is very well done. Like the comedy writing is good. And then, like you said, they picked actors who had very good comedic timing when it comes to their acting, so it works. Yeah, they prioritize that, I feel like, above other things.
Speaking of
casting, yes, casting Renee Rapp as Leighton, 10 out of 10, no notes. For literal perfection. perfection.
And they even let Leighton grow as Renee Rapp grows, and it's amazing. I've seen a behind the scenes photo of season 3, and I'm like, oh, yeah, we're sticking with the Renee Rapp timeline of coming into her lesbian.
No, and that's great. It's, when art imitates life kind of thing, which is really great. Like, Renee Rapp's gone through a journey, and so her character gets comfortable with who she is, and, like, Renee Rapp, the actor, like, is doing the same thing. So, like, hopefully this role was, like, helpful in her personal life.
Yeah, I hope so.
I've heard that from a couple of actors, and they kind of talk about playing queer roles, and they're like, well, that kind of helped me figure my stuff out. And, like, that's, you're pretending to be another human being. So, like, it can be cathartic in a way. But I like her plot. Like, so when in our original conversation, we were talking about Leighton. Obviously she's the queer character of, like, the main group. But when we're talking about, like, I mentioned, like, her plotline is a classic plotline, because it really is. Because, like, they're at this, like, very expensive private school, and she's the legacy kid. So, like, meaning her father went to the school, her mother went to the school, her brother goes to the school. So she's just, like, obviously going to be at the school. Like, and she has a bunch of money. They donated wings. Like, she's the definition of, like, white privilege, basically.
Very true.
Yeah. And then she very much acts that way when we first meet her. So she's, like, in bitch mode, like, constantly, because she's like, I'm too good for anything. I'm too good for these people who are allegedly my roommates and all this stuff. But really, like, it's classic, like, closet case behavior. Like, she's projecting a lot of insecurity outwards because she's trying to protect who she really is. So she's just like, look at my money, look at my status, look at all that. Don't look at who I really am.
Yeah.
So it's very, like, she's a closet case in a lot of ways, because, yeah.
I mean, she's lucky that she has that to hide her.
Part of it is why she's so closeted, because, she mentions it a couple of times that, like, part of her struggle coming out is, like, she's like, I don't want my life to change. Like, I have everything, and I'm going to lose it if this comes out, kind of thing. So it's like that fear because she has things. So perhaps if she wasn't in this privileged position, she wouldn't have the same fear that she has.
I feel like it would just be in a different way, but
maybe, who knows? But what's interesting about Leighton is that she's a closet case, but she's, like, actively queer at the same time. So, like, immediately when we meet her, she's on dating apps, like, hooking up with older women, because she's like, people who would never be in her social circle, who can't out her, and they would have no reason to know her. So she's, like, actively exploring her sexuality, but in a very closeted way,
But something I noticed is that whenever somebody brought up relationships around her, that girl got silent. Like, she has an opinion on everything, a bitchy comeback for everything. But the minute that someone tries to bring up boyfriends or, like, ask Leighton if she likes somebody, she lets everybody else do most of the talking.
Yeah. And then she deflects when it gets to her.
Yes.
She's like, not good enough for me, not blah, 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 or, like, I'm too good for you, or
he was too boring. He posted a lot of sunsets.
Yeah, his Instagram was boring. Yeah, because she can't comment on it. That's the one thing because that's what she's trying to hide the most. So she deflects immediately. So when this show first came out, other thing I love about Leighton, this was it came out before the Mean Girls, the musical movie. So Renee played Regina George in, like, the original, in, like, the Broadway production too, like, when it was, like, in actual theater. So it was really funny that when she got this role, it was she's, like, kind of Regina George in a little way, because she's, like, the rich quote popular girl or whatever, but also she's a mathlete, which is my favorite part of this. So I thought that was so funny when I was watching this show.
We get to see more of that in season 2, which I'm really glad about.
Yeah, she's a nerd. She's a mathlete, specifically Regina George the Mathelete, which is amazing.
I think they gave a lot more depth to her character as well.
Of course, because we had to get her out of the closet. Season 1 is just getting her out of the closet and, like, accepting who she is, which, like, is her main arc the entire time, like, in the show. That's Leighton's arc. But, like, she was so deep in that closet that, like, getting her to willingly come out was an entire season of the, like, deep that's how much fear she has.
Yeah.
So yeah, once she's out, she can explore, and so it seems like more is happening with her. But like,
no, I mean, even in the beginning, like having the math, like that gives her more of a rounding than just, oh, my story is
yeah,
clear story.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Yeah,
but yeah, her journey, like, of just accepting who she is was just very well done. She has the best arc. I'm not gonna lie, not just because she's queer, it helps, but like her arc is like one of the best ones in the show. To be honest, it's just very like well done. And she just came from, like, again, being the most privileged person on the planet, having this fear of being othered. Meanwhile, she rooms with all the others. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Kimberly has, like, she's a poor person in a rich environment. And then you have Bella, who was also a repressed person, like, lived in a strict household. She's trying to, like, get into comedy, which is, like, different kind of, like, she's the artist of the group, I guess you can put it that way too. So she's other in some other aspects of, like, why she's in college, her home life. And then you have Whitney, who's, like, privileged in a different way than Leighton is, because her mothers are famous, and this and that, and so she's, like, rebelling in her own way, but she doesn't know who she is. So it's like, but Leighton's like, I'm the person that belongs here the most because, like, that wing is named after me. You know what I mean? Like, she's just, yeah, so she has the most stuff, and so she's, like, feels like she has the most to lose by being, quote, other, if she, like, admits this part, this, like, quote, flaw of hers,
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, she had a lot of hard time accepting, and I loved her speech that she had with Alicia, and we'll get into the two of them later, but when Alicia is trying to say, like, you either come out or, like, we're done, basically, Leighton says, I don't want to come out and become all political and have it affect the way I act and speak and dress and what things I do. And Alicia's like, so you mean me? And something I do like about Leighton is that it shows that even if you're queer, you don't have to be, like, all pride parades and balloon towers. Like,
yeah.
Rainbows make me feel safe, but that's not for everybody. Some people like to be more quiet and reserved, and that is totally fine. And I like that it's a good foil-ish for all the other queers on the show. But also, she's not only describing Alicia in that, but she's also describing Renee Rapp.
Yeah.
And it makes me.
Yeah, yeah, she is. But also, like, that's just Leighton speaking out of fear, because she's afraid of accepting who she is because her life is going to change. But, like, later when you get into season 2, she does start doing that stuff. So, like, she was just afraid the whole time. Like, but your point is very valid that, like, there's different ways to be queer. Like, really, the whole thing is just about accepting who you are and being happy with who you are, really. At least, like, the bottom line there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're correct. Okay, but before we get to her and Alicia, we have to get through Kappa Comp head Leighton. Okay, so, like, her obsession with the sorority Kappa is, like, the epitome of her overcompensating to hide her queerness. And, like, I understand this too, because it's, like, also, like, her mother is like a Kappa, sorority member. And so, like, this was, again, part of the legacy that she's trying to fulfill by being in Essex. So, like, understandable. But the thing I don't like about this plot line is just how much she gives into the peer pressure of this group. Because, yeah, conforming is, like, part of Greek life, but she's overcompensating at her own expense. And especially when, like, she's trying to impress one of the Kappas and they push her into dating, like, Nico's friend that she's, like, not interested in. She knows he's going after her, and they basically, like, are like, oh, he's cute, you should date him. She's like, okay. And it's like,
yeah, she was so willing to conform herself.
Correct.
She's like, I need to make these videos. I need to be a Kappa. And that was, I feel like, a way of trying to change herself. Like,
exactly.
If I'm a Kappa, then I will become
be gay.
how I should be.
Right. Yeah, this is comp het behavior. Like, she's overcompensating in a way. And then I hate that she goes on the date with him, and she's just, again, she's like you're saying, she's so determined to make this work that she hooks up with him.
Yeah.
And like, that scene is one of the most heartbreaking scenes because she's clearly like dissociating from this moment and like
like telling him don't talk. Like,
yeah,
just keep your mouth shut.
Like, she's just trying to fool herself into being into this, like, to conform, but she can't. Like, you can see her just not being able to do it. And the worst part is that the next morning, walk of shame morning, she runs into Alicia. Oh.
Yeah, her face, her poor face. And that's when you can see, like, the moment that she truly cares about Alicia and what she thinks, because she looks very happy to see Alicia, but the minute she realizes what she did and what she looks like.
And also, Alicia knew she went on a date, and she very explicitly said to Alicia, I don't hook up on the first date. And then it's like, you're in the same clothes you were in last night,
and your hair is a wreck.
Yeah. So like, Alicia knows, and just like, you can tell, because like, it's also like a confrontation with Leighton of being like, we find out later that, like, in the women's center, which we'll talk about next, like, she does feel like community with them, but she's, like, won't admit it at this stage, so she's just, like, I don't know, I feel like she feels like she's lying to her. She can't, like, escape the fact that she is lying to herself when, like, she sees Alicia. She's like, you kind of see me, and which is scary and exciting, but also, like, she's like, fuck, like, yeah. Yeah, it's a heartbreak. It's important that scene is in there and, like, that, all of that, but it's just very heartbreaking for Leighton because she's, like, learning the hard way, like, I can't, this isn't me, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. But what is fun about her plotline is the women's center. It's probably one of my favorite things in the show is the women's center.
It's great. We were trying to, like, decide, like, all the things we would talk about in this episode, and we're like, so basically the women's center.
Yeah, the women's center is just great. It's an amazing plotline. And I love how Leighton gets roped into being at the women's center, where she's, like, basically had a fail hookup with this woman and is on the phone with her, and she's drunk, and she's just like, again, she's like trying to conform and like can't, and is ultimately beating herself up about it. But then when this woman confronts her and is like, you know, you should just be out, like, be happy, accept yourself and be happy. And then Leighton is drinking, and so she starts projecting all this vitriol that she hates about herself onto this woman in the phone call. She's like, you're just mad that, like, I have money and I have a great life and blah blah blah, because, like, again, doesn't accept herself, so that's the thing that's missing. And she gets really pissed off and throws the alcohol bottle at the statue. That was hilarious. She's like, I'm thriving, and, like, throws the bottle, and then a cop catches her. So she has to do community service, and she has to the women's center.
There was a lot worse things that she could have done, but she tried everything to get out of that community service.
Oh,
she's like, we can donate $10,000. And then after being at the women's center, she goes back like, my mom says we can go up to 20 grand. They're like, you're doing it.
I know the principal, he's like, we have 3 Russian billionaires' children's here. We're good. We don't need your $20,000. Go back to the women's center. So in the women's center, we meet a huge cast of characters. We meet, Tova, who's played by Vico. If you like Vico, check out our interview with Vico. Vico's the best. We have Alicia, who we'll talk a lot more about, and then there's Ginger. And Ginger, the best way I can describe Ginger is Ginger's just a bless your heart person. Just like, bless her heart. She's a hot mess. But oh my god.
I want to talk about Ginger and her safe space bell. This whole scene made me laugh so much because every narrow-minded thought Leighton could say out loud is said. And she's like, I think we need a safe space. And Leighton's going off. And then Alicia goes off on Leighton about saying that her pronouns are obvious. And then Ginger presses... Oh, and no, hold on. Then she calls her a dumb cis bitch. And stop being a dumb cis bitch. And Ginger rings them out. And she's like, yeah, I heard it.
I just love that their initial meeting is just antagonism. And what's great about Alicia, I think, why Leighton likes her is that she challenges Leighton regardless of who she is. Because most people would back down from Leighton because she has money, power. But Alicia's like, no. And then Leighton tries to be like, just sign my form. I didn't really do anything, but just then you won't have to see me. She's like, no, you're free labor. I'm getting the free labor out of you. And like, you fucked up today, so I'm not signing your form. So it's like it's a reverse of authority. That's what's happening
at the open mic night.
Yeah, or whatever she was doing.
Yeah. But there is something in that night that I want to talk about.
Go for it.
So one of the people, they were reciting this poem, and one of the lines is, "For amber waves of pain," and it just made me think of all the Thai show covers that we've done recently.
So much pain.
Yeah, and this night is the one night that Leighton learns that she's gonna have to actually try at this and become a better person, or accept.
Well, she has to accept another authority figure. Is the big thing. It's like Alicia's in charge, and like Leighton is not used to somebody else being in charge, and so that's really where their like dynamic starts. And I think that's why it works, because Leighton is off center by Alicia, and that's kind of that's what you need to change just in general. Yeah, so it's great.
But we see a lot of growth from Leighton through this women's center, which is why it's so important. And another scene that I love is when Tova breaks up with Beth.
That's just cute.
So Beth wanted Tova to present more feminine because her parents never met a non-binary person, which, what kind of happiest season shit is this?
I mean, that is the world we live in.
Yeah.
So,
and then Leighton says, F that, which makes Alicia say, hey, you might quickly want to tell us what side you're on. Because you're like, who knows what comes out of Leighton's mouth. But Leighton just says Tova's, obviously. And there's so much growth. And I love that Leighton is now feeling protective over these people. And it went from obviously she, her, to obviously Tova's in the right and shouldn't hide who they are in the first half of season 1. Yeah. She grows so quickly.
Right.
Also, Leighton and Ginger just have beef together. Like, the two of them.
Ginger's a bless her heart person, and Leighton treats her like that. That is appropriate behavior.
And then once Leighton finally finishes her hours, I love that everyone is so proud of her, but does not expect her to stick around. They're like, we know that you're accepting of us. We know that you're good, but we don't expect you to stay. And like, she even takes Ginger's cupcake that she makes, and it's very sweet. But she does go back and recruits Alicia to help her provide a safe space to Bella and Carla, who were sexually assaulted by Ryan.
Yeah, it's cute.
Not the sexual assault.
No, not the sexual assault is never cute. The fact that when her friends were in crisis and needed a safe space, she took them to a safe space for women and had Alicia kind of facilitate that discussion with them. Like, that was, again, that's what it demonstrated that, like, Leighton was very dismissive of the women's center and was like, this is stupid. Safe spaces are dumb. But then it goes to show you that, like, places like that are needed and they are useful. And what Alicia does it provides a service to people. And so now that Leighton learned that and experienced that, she put that into action to help real people. So that's kind of like a bigger lesson that Leighton learns and like demonstrates to kind of the audience like the value of having that's why you have a women's center in the first place. Because some people will be like, there's no men's center, and it's like the whole fucking school's a men's center. And then like you need places to deal with very specific problems that don't come up with men or are caused by men. And like, so I do like that aspect.
I do as well. The Women's Center is just amazing.
It's great. And it's just comedic gold.
And it brought us Midori Francis.
It did bring us Midori Francis and her fucking amazing comedic timing.
Facial expression. She's a perfect
genius. Perfect. She's perfect for this role. Her and Renee are both very good actors together, and just their comedic timing together is just fucking hilarious. And just, it's very fitting that they start on an enemies to lovers track, because they're very different at this stage and when they first meet. And it's just amazing. Their bantering is just so fucking funny. And again, like, the key of it is that Alicia doesn't take Leighton's shit. She just does it. She challenges her right back. And that's, you know, Gap the series. That's so many things. Like, that's the attraction there. Like, you challenge me, and that's exciting because, like, it's boring when people just, like, you know, don't do that. So I think that's part of their attraction with each other. It's just like,
there's really
the bantering
in her life that challenges her because she has money and people.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah. Exactly. So, like, even when her roommates challenge her, it's, like, not the same. So they think that's where it starts. And the dumb cis bitch thing was really funny.
Yeah. One of my scenes that I love between the two of them is when they're finally starting to just talk in the beginning. Alicia says, if you want to shave off some hours, I could really use some help tonight. It's a panel on the ABCs of the LGBTs. You'll hate it. Yeah. And it's, again, it's the line delivery of that was so perfect. And the confidence and the facial expressions, I think Majori just,
she's so good.
It is perfect.
She's perfect.
Also, at this point, Alicia starts guessing Leighton's type when she tells her that she has a date that night.
That was so funny.
And it's an example that everyone assumes and stereotypes people. Like, you can be one of the most aware people, but still make assumptions because that's just a natural part of being a human. Like, that's what we're taught to do from the very beginning. Is subconsciously you have these biases in your head.
Well, like, it's not even that we're taught to do it. It's just a survival thing. Our brains are associative and put things in boxes. Like, we're like, danger, not danger. It's just what our brains are hardwired to do in a survival level. So it's not even like a conditioning thing. Just our brains are actually hardwired to do that. So that's why, like, we label things. We're obsessed with that because, like, our brains rudimentary, like, that's what they do. That's what our brains do. Okay. Kendra is joining us now for those on the video. She's a golden doodle.
And she's very cute.
She's very cute. Anyway.
Okay. So, this reminds me of that scene in These Thems when Vero assumes all of these blonde women are women and, like, go by she, her pronouns.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, I shouldn't assume. Do we all go by she, her? Also, and okay, sorry. Leighton does call Alicia out later when they judge frat parties without going to them, which I do like that they challenge each other.
Exactly.
It's great.
It is great.
But also, according to Alicia, Leighton's date or type is apparently, his name is Gareth. His dad's the Monopoly man.
I love that part.
And his hobbies are sailing and benefiting from generational wealth.
Pretty accurate. She said, don't forget about, like, making servers cry or whatever. But yeah. But Leighton goes with it. That's the thing. She's like, yeah, that's my type. Like, that's what everybody says. She's still hiding at this stage now.
Yeah. She's like, all right, yeah, sure. Assume that. As long as you're assuming I'm with a guy.
Right.
But when the Women's Center people show up to the frat party, Leighton is smiling like an idiot when she sees Alicia. And it's so cute.
It's very cute.
And also at that frat party, we get a conversation between Leighton and Alicia where she's like, you're wrong. And Alicia goes, what am I wrong about? And
oh wait, the lead up to that is so good though. When they're fighting, this is at the end of they get into it. So basically, like, okay, so they go to Leighton's brother's frat house, and first of all, she's like, yeah, the Women's Center people are coming, so he has to make the whole party less racist and problematic because he's afraid they're gonna complain and shut them down. So that part's really funny. So they end up in the backyard, and it's Alicia and Leighton, and they're talking, and then Alicia notices a bunch of sombreros in a trash can, and she's like, yep, my brother had to make this less problematic because you're going to be here. So they're kind of having this conversation, and this drunk guy comes out there and just starts, like, peeing right next to them. Because they're outside, and this is what men do at parties, because they're like, I don't have to wait in the line for the bathroom, I'm just going to pee out here. So Alicia calls them out, she's like, we're standing right here, like, we have to pee right next to us, like, this is a big backyard or whatever. So he calls her a dyke, basically, which is like, can be taken as derogatory nowadays. And so Alicia gets really upset and like starts going after this guy and like pushing him and shit. And like Leighton freaks out and tries to stop it, and Alicia gets mad and runs away. And so then they are basically like out, they leave the party basically. They're like out in the alley behind it, and they start fighting because Alicia's like, you were going to take his side and blah, blah, blah. And Leighton was like, no, I was worried he was going to hit you and shit. And then Alicia's like, I can take care of myself. And like, Leighton's like, you're tiny, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm 5'2". And like, that line was probably one of the funniest things ever. She's like, you're 5 foot tall. She's like, I'm 5'2". Like, the way like Midori committed to that line and the way she said it was just so
She
commits.
It's
so
amazing.
Fucking funny. Oh my god. And the way Renee did not react to that was also like, again, the two of them are very good together, like comedic actors. But yeah, so basically like Alicia, and the whole crux of it is, and the why Alicia reacted the way she did is Leighton's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have brought you here. I've been around these guys my whole life. I've never seen them do that before. And Alicia's like, of course not. You don't present as a queer person, obviously. Like, I'm some girl they can't have sex with. So yeah, they're going to treat me like trash. Whereas you're the epitome of like what they're going after, right? You're the sorority girl, like who's perfect. She's like, obviously you're worth something to them. We're not, I'm not. And that's when Leighton's like, you're wrong about me. Like, you're misjudging me kind of thing.
And then she basically kisses Alicia and they live happily ever after. That's not true, but
in my mind,
that's what I want to believe. No, that night, Leighton and Alicia do hook up, but this is the very first time that Leighton stays after having sex with someone, because usually it's with an older suburban mom. One of the times we saw it in a car, but this time Alicia is like, you should stay. And so they get Postmates and then watch Indian Matchmaker, and Leighton stays for 1 to 6 episodes.
That was hilarious. Yeah, it's very cute because normally Leighton like she blocks them too. Like, she just hooks up with them, blocks them. So like there's no contact whatsoever. And so it's really cute in that scene because she goes to leave and then Alicia's like, but you don't have to. And then Leighton's like, okay. So it's like one of the first time that Leighton's doing what she actually wants to do, instead of like behaving out of fear. Because maybe perhaps with those other women, like Leighton would have liked to stayed or like got to know them, but she was so wrapped in fear that she would never even consider doing that. So it's very like Alicia's very under her skin kind of thing in a unique way, which is great.
No matter what, Alicia's always going to be a huge part of her life.
Yeah. That's her awakening in many ways.
So on track with this growth, later she has a conversation and then immediately just says my girlfriend, and it comes so easy and natural for her to say she has a girlfriend.
Leighton.
Leighton. And it's not until Alicia points it out that I think Leighton realizes what she said, and then she gets very nervous and quiet and then she's like, well, is that what do I have a girlfriend? And Alicia's like, yeah, you have a girlfriend. And then they're so cute together.
They're very cute. Yeah, they're adorable.
And then they end up going on a trip, and that's where we get the conversation.
Oh, wait, before we get that, you have it later, but before they're dating, like officially dating, like basically, I forget what happens, but Leighton has this really like shitty day with all her roommates or whatever, and ends up at Alicia's at the end of the day. And they're just like watching something on, the computer. And then, oh no, I think it's the end of Parents' Day is what it is.
Yeah,
and which was a hot mess and it was terrible. And so she goes to see Alicia at the end of the day and is just hanging out with her. And she's like, I think he like you better than anybody else. Yeah. And it's kind of this admission of just like, she can be herself around Alicia. Like, yeah, granted, the theme here that's like, if you don't pick up on it, it's obvious at the end when Alicia points it out, but they only hang out together in Alicia's apartment. So like the world does not exist. They're in the bubble kind of thing. And Leighton at this stage in her life is comfortable being herself out of public, like in private. She can be herself, which is a big step when you're so closeted the way she is. Like, but that admission is kind of just like, to me, I interpret that as Leighton basically saying, I'm myself when I'm with you. Because she's not truly herself with her family, not really with her brother. She's more herself with her roommates, but she's still hiding who she really is around them. So, but with Alicia, she doesn't have to do any of that. And so that's just a relief.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. The only one who knows about the big part of Leighton.
And Leighton is like dorky around her and stuff. Like, she has her guard down. It's the only person she has her guard down around, like fully. And that, to somebody who spends so much time and energy hiding and curating things to hide who they are, like, that has to be a huge relief. And I think that's what she's admitting here. Yeah, which is huge for Leighton.
Yeah, no, I had it right there.
Yeah. We were talking about the trip. Then we get to the trip, which is the sad part.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. That's where we get the speech from her of being like, I don't want it to become who I am. But girl, it is who you are. And when you own it, girl.
Okay, well, let's also talk about why they end up breaking up. So they end up breaking up because basically Alicia's like, by dating you, basically, like, Alicia tries to like take their, like, post pictures of them, and like no, don't do that, because like Leighton is not ready to be fully out of the closet, and Alicia, like the owner, like the president of the women's center, is like, yeah, no, like I'm out, and I don't want to be in the closet too, and by dating you, you're trying to drag me back into the closet. That's how it feels for me, and I'm past that. And like, it's hard for Leighton to accept, but that's valid, honestly.
Yeah.
It's very valid. And like, Alicia's not trying to be mean to her. Like, Leighton tries to, after they break up, Leighton tries to come back to the apartment and be like, I miss you, tell me you miss me. And Alicia's like, I do miss you, but like, that doesn't change the fact that like, you're trying to drag me back in the closet, and like, I can't do that. So like, we need to move on. You need to figure yourself out, like, basically is what she's giving her the space to do. And it's really sad when they're having this breakup conversation, because Alicia almost tells her, I love you too. So it's even harder for Alicia, because it almost comes out and she stops herself, and then she's like, we need to break up. Because like, so like, for Alicia does care about her. So it's not this cold, callous thing where you're like, wow, you don't love her, you're like, so you're breaking up with her over this. This is a valid thing. Like, truly, like, it's a difficult situation, but it's like, Leighton needs to figure her shit out, and Alicia's like, I'm at a point where I can't be on this journey with you where we're just hiding who we are. Like, I want to be out and be me, and like, you know, that's it's a boundary basically she's setting with Leighton.
I mean, yeah, it's totally valid.
Yeah.
Bruh. So Alicia and Leighton are pretty much the queer stuff that we get in this.
Yeah, there's ancillary queer characters, like they're the sweet mate, not the sweet mate, the guy that lives in the building.
Oh yeah, that guy.
It keeps popping up, Travis, I think his name. But they're the main queers we care about. But there's many other aspects of the show that are also great. Like, to me, one of my favorite things about the show is the cold open. Like, the very first scene, which is Kimberly and her parents showing up to Essex. And it's just like, there's a guy and a girl just like basically having foreplay out in the open. And Kimberly's mom is like, can you not? I can see your erection. I'm trying to take my daughter to school. And Kimberly's like, Mom. Like, that's the cold open. Like, it's so funny and very bold choice. Whoever wrote that as the cold open. It's so funny. It sets the tone for the show. It really. Oh my God. It's hilarious. But speaking of Kimberly, so I like, you know, again, there's diversity of the roommates. So it's very well structured how they chose to like have 4 plot lines and these 4 characters really come together. And Kimberly's background and intro to classism at Essex is probably one of my favorite things on the show. So I appreciated her plotline of being like the work study student, quote unquote. She's the one that has to have a job just to work there. She's on a scholarship.
And when like she says that in front of everyone and everyone's just like, you have a job?
Yeah. So like, so this is if you're not from America, like if you go to a public university, like college, that's normal. But this is a private school, so it costs more money to go to this type of college. So because of that, you're going to have classism. So Kimberly is the minority at this school where she has to have a job. She's on a scholarship. Like, she's in the minority versus, like, who else is at this school? Leighton, who's just bags of money. And then Whitney, whose mother's a senator. So she has a bunch of money. And then Bella, too, like, has money. So, like, Kimberly's the minority. And she learns that the hard way. And that's one of her things her mother was afraid of. She's like, I'm not afraid you're going to, like, meet boys and do whatever. I'm afraid you're going to meet all these rich people. And, like, it's going to be a hard lesson for you to learn. And it kind of is for Kimberly in a lot of ways, to be very confronted with the fact that, like, oh, I'm really poor compared to these people. Like, it's a hard lesson. And I like the way they wrote it with her, basically.
Yeah, it's not easy going into a place where you know everyone's rich. Like, they don't have to worry about anything.
No.
And so you could be sitting there being like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. Or I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But they don't have to worry about it. And it puts more on Kimberly. And we see that throughout the season as well, because it ends up with her being so desperate that she does cheat on the test just to try and survive at the school.
Yeah. But one of the more subtler things that I like that separates Kimberly is that because she has to work, she has less time to study, to experience what college life is, because she has to devote some of that to working, which nobody else does. With the exception of, like, Whitney, like, being on an athlete also, like, takes up your time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, they don't understand, like, why she has to, like, some nights she's like, I can't go out, I have to study because I was working. And, like, as somebody who worked during college, like, that was really relatable. So, like, a lot of these quote college experiences you'll see in, like, media is super unrealistic if, like, you had to work. It's like, I had to work, I couldn't go to these things. Like, I had to make up for that time for studying and, like, doing life stuff. And, like, nobody else has that problem except Kimberly. So it's another thing that, like, makes her other compared to her roommates, you know?
Yeah, she's definitely very much the odd one out in that aspect. And they don't try to rub it in her face, but it's there.
Yeah, and just constantly there. But one of the cool things we do get, because has to have a job, is we get the Sips crew. So the people who work at the coffee shop where she works. And so we get Leela and we get Kanan. And they're honestly so great. And I love those. I love
them. We need to talk about the introduction, though. Okay, so basically, Kanan and Leela are just messing with Kimberly and giving her all of these sob stories as their backgrounds. And it starts with Kanan saying that no one has it as hard as Leela because she has a single mom and a deadbeat baby daddy. And so Kimberly, like, says, like, the next day says, I had trouble getting out of bed this morning. I didn't want to come in. And she's like, but then I thought, if Leila can do it, I can do it. And then Leila's like, what do you mean? And she recites, like, it can't be easy having a baby and being a single mother. And she's like, what are you talking about? And the minute she says, Kanan told, she just starts laughing. And she's like, he's messing with you, but then messes with her.
Because Kimberly is, like, the naive girl who came from a very white rural area. So, like, she's meeting people of color for, like, the first time and is trying to, like, she's naive. And so they're messing with her. But she's like, I'm honestly just trying to, like, learn and, like, be considerate. And, like, you guys are messing with me. And yeah, so poor Kimberly. She's the fish out of water in school.
I do relate to Kimberly a lot. And I love that part of her story. Just, like, trying to learn the world.
Yeah, she's trying.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, another thing with the Sips crew, Kimberly ends up going to this fundraiser for the Kaitlynn, I believe, with Bella, and she sees Leela and Kanan there. They're serving. I don't know why she didn't put that together right away, that they were working it. I guess it
it's
just
Kimberly.
Yeah, it just didn't register to her. And when she realizes that they're working, she feels so uncomfortable that they're serving her. And they also, they play into it too, but because it's them. But I love the solidarity that she has. Like, first she's like giving them tips and they're like, please stop. We know you're poor too. Like, you don't have to do that. But then she uses the power that she has. And she's like, you're on scholarship and you make one hell of a martini. And then gets them a bunch of tips. And it's just, I love that, how this little privilege that she has now, because now she's going to this banquet with all of these rich people. She's like, okay, I can play this situation to make it better for them.
Yeah, and I love that they give her a cut of the tips at the end, and then the coat check guy is trying to ask for a tip from Kimberly in front of Leela and Kaitlynn, and Leela's like, help doesn't tip help. So that was like cute. Like a solidarity moment for all of them, which is cute.
Just not solidarity with the coat check guy.
Well, I mean, they all of them got tips and they like gave a cut. So like, wasn't that their solidarity?
Didn't give it to them.
Oh, okay. Then fuck that guy. I don't know.
No, it was just the three of them. The coat check guy gets his own tips.
Sure. Not from Kimberly, because help doesn't tip help.
Nope.
So the other thing I love from this show is, I mean, again, it's a comedy, so it's very, very funny, is Bella's sense of humor at the beginning. So she's a fun character because she's like pursuing her dream. Like, again, she comes from a very like repressed Indian household where she's expected to be a doctor and like that kind of stuff. And then she's like, no, I'm here. I'm going to do what I want. I want to be a comedy writer. So she picked the school because it has a very prestigious like magazine called the Kaitlynn
magazine,
where a lot of like SNL writers come from, is like the lore. So she's like, if I'm here, I'll have a shot at pursuing my dream. But she's like immediately like the wild child. She's just like, I want to have sex with everybody and like do the things I never did in high school. And it's like, she's the classic character of just like, this is what happens when you repress people and restrict them and don't let them express themselves. When they finally get in the environment where they can do that, they go crazy and overboard. And that's why Bella is so over the top. It's because this is trauma. She was repressed. And so she's like, finally, I'm free. And then just like, to do whatever she wants, and she just goes wild, basically.
But she makes sure everyone knows that she is sex positive.
Of course. And I have anything else about Bella?
Not really. It's just like she's very fun. And we do talk about a little bit more of her arc in a little bit. So
yeah. Okay. So other thing I like about the show is Whitney. So Whitney is on the soccer team, so she's like the athlete of the group. And I do like the soccer choreography in general, because like a lot of times it doesn't feel, as somebody who played soccer, it doesn't feel realistic what they're doing, because like they're actors, they don't necessarily play the sport. But I like the way it was shot and done. It felt real, like it felt like they were really playing soccer, like they knew what they were doing. So I enjoy that.
I enjoyed it too. I did not know what was going on though.
I mean, you don't need to know what's going on. I mean, just the way they were passing and like the way they were like the way they shot it, like it was good. I like that.
I want to talk about Parents Weekend because this is basically when everybody's lives are coming out. And I do love like at the beginning of the episode, they're like, okay, we should all probably get the lies we told our parents straight so we can all corroborate.
Yeah, it's basically
stories.
They're with the RA. It's like the whole building is together and they're like, let's just keep each other's secrets. Like, get them out there now so we can all like be, solidarity, basically.
Yeah. But I really like this episode because you see the contrast of each family very easily because the entire families are together.
Yep.
And it is very interesting to see how they all interact with each other, because the girls at this point, they're pretty close. They know each other, but the families, they're not having any of this growth that we see from the girls. So they're
not interacting with each other.
Yes, I know that. I just mean, so they have like the original personality. Yeah. So seeing how that clashes. But the first thing is we see Kimberly and her mom struggle to pay for dinner. And it's not that they struggle because her mom did save up for it, but they go to a nice restaurant And the prices make Kimberly literally break out in hives because she's so stressed out that her mom has to pay that. So Leighton ends up going to the bathroom, and because she notices that Kimberly is freaking out, basically. And she ends up giving her her credit card. She's like, don't worry, my parents won't even notice that I have this charge on there. So it's better to just do it this way than have you guys stress out about paying for this meal. And also because it wasn't her decision to go to this restaurant. Like, I think Leighton chose it.
Leighton chose it because her parents expect this. Like, when they get there, the mom's like, you couldn't find anything fancier than this. Like, so again, she was trying to make her parents happy, and so she felt guilty, and that's why she went after Kimberly.
And that is a constant. She's always trying to make her parents happy, and we talked about that, like all the things that are expected of her as she goes to this college. But when they get the check back and all the credit cards, they notice that Leighton's dad's like, Leighton, why is your card in here? And it basically comes out that Kimberly and her mom didn't actually pay for that meal. They had Leighton do it, but Kimberly's mom wasn't aware that this happened. And Kimberly's mom is super embarrassed because she's like, all these people are super successful around me. I don't want to seem like I can't afford to pay this. So she did everything in her power to be able to do this. And then having Kimberly basically go around her and be like, oh no, we're too poor to do this. I understand where both of them are coming from. Like, Kimberly is stressed and anxious, and her mom is just embarrassed because, I mean, you don't want to feel less than when around the people. But yeah, I've been in Kimberly's spot before with I don't want her to pay for this, and like, I don't want it to stress her out. It's not a good time. Like, and Kimberly's not enjoying this dinner. Like, it's supposed to be a nice dinner with, first of all, I mean, no one is, but that's a whole nother thing. Because this dinner is a hot mess.
Yes, it is.
This whole parents' weekend, we see all the kids trying to just make their parents happy.
Yep.
Something for Whitney. Whitney is waiting for her dad to show up. Her mom is there. Her mom is basically her rock, but she doesn't really treat her like that. Like, she doesn't see that. She idolizes her father at this point, but he got a gig and he ends up not showing up. And Leighton's dad makes a comment at dinner, and Whitney's mom goes off on him, and she's like, do not make my daughter feel bad that her dad did not show up. Like, that is not okay. You can say anything you want about me and my work, but you cannot bring down my daughter. And I love that she stuck up for her.
Yeah.
But then she sticks up for herself, because afterwards, Whitney thanks her for sticking up for her dad. And Whitney's mom basically says, oh, don't get me wrong, everything he said was right. And like, she's just so tired of him being the hero in her daughter's eyes when she works so hard to make up for all the shortcomings that happen because he is not around and he's not putting in the effort. But Whitney's at the point where she's just making excuses for him. And it's really sad and hard to watch because, like, she even orders food for him and he's like an hour late at some point, and till when he finally calls, like, being that late and not even having the decency to call earlier in the day.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Do you have anything to say about those families yet?
No.
Okay. Meanwhile, I won't spend too much time on Bella. Bella basically lied that she was taking a biochemistry class. They see the professor that so basically Bella takes her parents to this class randomly. I'm surprised she even knows what time it is. I guess she just looked it up.
Probably.
Or she dropped it the first week. She probably like registered and dropped. But then they see the professor out at this restaurant, and they're like, "You should go say hi to them." And I'm like, first of all, don't interrupt.
Yeah, that's weird.
Professor at dinner,
right?
Like,
that's weird.
No,
that's a weird suggestion.
Yeah. So they figure it out because the dad goes up to him and is like, "Here, show this card at any Subway. You'll be glad you did." And then he's like, the professor says, "There must be a mix-up here. Your daughter's not in my class." I'm like, but also, could you not just play along? No, he has no responsibility to.
No.
So that is Bella's story. Then we go to Leighton's family, and something that is funny and sad and really weird is that there's this running joke that Leighton's mom wants to hook up with her son.
It's basically playing on the fact that like some mother-daughter, my mother-son relationships veer into like he's the man I wish I married kind of stuff. And yeah, so they're just playing on that basically.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
So her dad, before we even get to the dinner, her dad wants to take the perfect family photos, and they're all dressed up in these sweaters and have these leaves that they have to throw to get the perfect picture. And of course, Alicia sees this all go down.
Yep, that's great. But her dad's cute. He's just very excited. He's like, my whole family goes to my school. Like, he's just genuinely happy about all this. Like a big deal. Like the legacy's being completed.
Yeah, he says some questionable things, cute. But he is very just much happy. He loves his kids.
He does.
He's a family man.
Exactly. So this was ultimately just very cute.
Meanwhile, her mom is just a super judgmental bitch. And like makes fun of her roommates. And like it's like, please, like they're my roommates. They're basically her friends. And
yeah,
her mom tells her that they are the same. So she's saying that Leighton is the same as her. And I think that kind of scares Leighton because Leighton's like, I don't want to be like you. And their relationship gets better next season. But at this point, we're like,
but this is like, I mean, but that's who Leighton was raised to be. So it's like, again, like, and Leighton was happy to play that part. She was happy to be the Kappa girl. She was happy to be, she was the judgmental bitch. She is exactly like her mother because that's who she was raised to be. And so what's important here is that Leighton has been, as college does, it exposed her to different people, i.e. the women's group people. And so Leighton is starting to change without herself realizing it. So that's why it's so impactful because Leighton's like, I don't know that I want this anymore. This is basically the realization moment. Whereas before she was very happy to just pet her way into that life. So it's Leighton changing.
It's very interesting because now every time that she sees her mom, she's like, I don't think I want this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the things that we liked. Now we're gonna go into our ranting. Why are we here moments?
Yeah, big why the fuck was this here is Whitney's plotline. I really hate Whitney and the coach. So basically, like, it's just gross. And it's like, basically, it's Whitney and her assistant soccer coach, who's a young-ish man, first of all. So, like, and he's married. So, like, why did we have to have all wrapped into one plotline? An affair, boss and employee, an age gap. Like, why was that all put on Whitney?
That was a lot.
That's a lot. Like, that was her plot line. Like, it's too much. The only thing I liked about it was the resolution. And so the head coach is a lesbian. The second coach is the gross dude. And I like that the female coach, like, ended up standing up for Whitney by omitting her name from, like, the incident that got the man fired for fucking his, like, employees, basically. It's so inappropriate. But she omitted Whitney's name to protect her because she's basically like, why should this one thing you did when you were a teenager, very young adult, ruin your whole life? Because if Whitney's name got out there, it would ruin her entire life. Especially because her mother's a fucking senator and as a public figure would ruin so many lives. So she's like, you shouldn't be punished for his actions, basically. Yeah. So I love that.
It does get her fired.
Yeah.
And I found it funny that the hockey coach gets thrown into being the soccer coach.
Of course.
Why they try to find someone. And then she's like, now can someone explain to me how offsides work? And I just,
Relatable.
It's so much funnier now that I understand.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Which is funny because hockey has offsides. So.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, exactly. But it's different. It's different type of offsides. So anyway, so like valid question. I also love the way her teammates, when Whitney finally comes clean, they don't judge her either. They're like, it was him. He's the adult, really, in this, like, the older adult, the authority figure. He knew better and he was taking advantage. So I like the way they react. The one I like the most is her mother. Because Whitney obviously tries to keep it from her mom, but it ends up bringing them closer together because her mother is like, I feel like a failure that I didn't know what was really going on with you. And I felt like a failure that you were too afraid to tell me the truth.
Yes, because she gets Willow. Well, no, she doesn't get her. She just tells her mom that it was Willow, not her. And so this super gay Willow is acting her ass off, pretending that she was the one who had this relationship with him and giving this whole sob story. And she's like, when she comes back, I'm going to cry. And I just love Willow.
Yeah, that's great. But I do like Whitney and her mom, the way that resolves. But personally, I think Whitney deserved better plot lines in the entire show. She gets the worst plot lines, in my opinion.
I would agree.
Yeah. Other thing I hate, but I think is an important plot line, is the Kaitlynn stuff. And the way, like, basically the plot line is diversity quota. And that's Bella's plot line, essentially. So they're basically like, I can't read, just like in the way, sorry. So it's the way Bella almost like immediately gets excluded from the tryouts for this thing because they're like, we already have 2 women.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. But in that same breath, these people admit they're like, also we have basically siblings of current writers who are applying. So like what they're cleverly written, the way this was done, because they're basically admitting, yeah, we do favoritism, but we very much stick to our diversity quota. So they're like, basically, like, we're gonna let these people in because they know they have connections, but you, outsider, like, are in the diversity quota bucket, which is super fucked up. But that's how it works in real life. Like, it's so fucked up. And Bella said over and over again how this like one thing could like propel her career into this very like hard to get into boys club, basically. And it's a boys club thing. It's just. I hate it because it's so real and it's so fucked up, you know. And I wonder though, because like one of the creators of the show is Mindy Kaling, and Mindy's written a bunch. If you don't know who Mindy is, Mindy wrote for The Office. She's very funny, like I think Indian American, if I remember correctly. I've read some of her books, like where she's kind of talked about how she got started into comedy, and I wonder if this plot line comes from not necessarily her personal experience, but like experience of like actual writers who have gone through this stuff. And her specifically as like woman of color, like trying to break into comedy. Like, I wonder if this is really coming from a real place, this plot line of Bella's. Like, maybe not at the college level, but maybe like trying to break into college.
I mean, there has to be.
Yeah.
Like,
it just feels very real.
It's too hard. We just got a first female late night host.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
I mean, we have a whole show called Hacks, which is literally it's about that. Like, trying to be a female talk show host. Yeah, exactly. But just the absolute, like, diversity quota shit that Bella faces, I feel like came from a real place.
Yeah. In this season, Whitney gets all the relationship drama. Bella gets all the diversity and
sexism. She gets the sexism plot line is really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets the sexism plot line. Kimberly gets the I'm poor plot line, and then I discover sex and make poorer decisions. And Leighton has the accepting who I am, which I think is the superior plot line. If I had to pick a plot line. But yeah.
Yeah, because the other ones when Kimberly is like figuring out how sex
is.
I find it very annoying.
It is super annoying.
I'm like, that's not you, girl.
No.
I don't know how she changed overnight with that.
It's just the hormones. That's what hormones do to you sometimes. All right. Any final thoughts about Sex Lives Season 1?
I take away Alicia and Leighton. I don't mean take away from the show. That's what I remember.
I will watch it.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. I loved Alicia and Leighton.
But overall, this show is so funny that, like,
it's really funny.
We were watching it together with Theora's wife, and we were all just laughing out loud.
It's funny.
It's
a very
so
funny
well
show.
written. Every single person in the show is good at timing and delivering these lines, and physical as well. It's perfect, really.
It's a very well done TV show. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. But, like, also, like, rewatching it after, like, watching, like, Gap and, like,
Gap
like,
series is a Thai
yeah, and, like, the series which are Thai dramas, and they're, like, basically, like, the amount of queer content that the Thai shows have is, like, insane when you compare it to, like, this show, where, like, I was like, wow, I forgot how actual little screen time Leighton and Alicia both actually have, because they're doing 4 plot lines, really, so it's, like, understandable in, like, more of an ensemble kind of situation. But I was like, man, their relationship has, like, 15 minutes total. It's, like,
the Thai drama is, like, really focused.
The whole show is queer.
Yeah,
the whole thing is queer. Like, every moment is queer. So it was just very jarring to go back to this and be like, damn, I was clutching at crumbs when I was, like, really into the show, because I just like their plot line. I think it's really great, and the women's center stuff is excellent, the way they handled it. But it's just like, damn, it was crumbs. It was crumbs.
It was, but
it's good. It's a good show.
When I watch American media, you're used to just, like, eating all the crumbs. Like, give me something.
American do better.
We will create our own crumbs.
But there are things that we love, and there's queerness in it. So of all the things, like, what would you award the Big Gay Energy award to? Like, what embodied Big Gay Energy the most for you in this show?
The only thing I can think of is just Alicia.
I also was going to say Alicia, but just the women's center.
Yeah.
The women's center is, like, the queerest thing in the show, because you get Toba, like, all the things they talk about, like, the political activism, like, it's the queerest thing in the show, which is the women's center.
Yeah, that's fair.
The women's center. Just full stop. Honorable mention to Willow. I love Willow. I wish Willow was in it more.
Oh gosh, yeah. If you haven't watched it recently, just go back and watch it.
And they're quick episodes. They're easy to watch.
Yeah. So if you made it this far in the episode, we want to know, because we want to see who's actually sticking around to the very end. So I'm going to give you a word that I don't want you to look up. I want you to try and spell it how you think it's spelled, and use it organically in a review or comment on the video. So review for podcast platforms, comment for the YouTube version. So today's word is hors d'oeuvre. Good luck trying to fit that one in a comment.
Have fun. I was like saying you're a snack. So
yeah. Oh, well, Theora just like,
you're an hors d'oeuvre. There you go. You're welcome.
Good luck. I saw this word and I'm like, that's how you spell it? That's ridiculous.
It's not an English word. No judgment. Anyway, so that's the Sex Lives of College Girls. I hope you guys enjoyed. Next time we will be back to discuss season 2 and eventually season 3, the new season, when it comes out. So we have that to look forward to. So until next time, hydrate for lesbian Jesus and gay it up all over the place. Bye.
Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.